Hello. Welcome back to the IFS podcast. Let's crack this bad boy open. Oh yeah.
Ooh, here we go.
Isn't that a great sound? We got an interesting one for you here tonight as I pour it away. This is supposed to be hazy. It's not hazy yet. This is Multi-Gigantic by Rusty Rail Brewing Company.
I just spilled mine all over the desk.
Oh no, is it on your computer?
Not quite that bad. I just dribbled. Like I was trying to be too artsy fartsy about it, and I just dribbled down the side of the glass.
There's a tasteless joke in there somewhere. I'm not gonna make it. Double IPA, 9.5% ABV, 16-ounce can. This is from the Rusty Rail, which isn't too far from here. Mifflinburg, PA, brewing boldly in the heart of Pennsylvania. This is also the first can that I've gotten that has the independent label on it. First time I've seen that on a can.
Ooh.
Enjoy fresh. Yeah. It's supposed to be hazy. It is
not hazy.
I mean, this is as clear as a bell. I mean, hell, you can read the back of my glass through it. So
Multi-Gigantic double IPA. All right, what's the story on this?
Well, I can pull it up here on the website.
When I heard the hop profile, I wasn't exactly. I thought it was very old school. I mean, it smells all right. I haven't taken a sip yet. I'm still wiping down my desk with printer paper.
That's not very absorbent. That's
all I've got because I took the shirts I left in the office back up to the bedrooms.
You want to go get a towel or something, man? God. This one is it's sidetrack number 16, Multi-Gigantic double IPA. I guess the sidetrack is part of their experimental series. As I said, 9.5. IBUs is 77, so not too low. Color hazy gold. That is no, it is gold.
That is deceptive advertising.
Yeah. Hop variety: Simcoe, Citra, Amarillo, Falconer's Flight, which I'm a big fan of. That's a good one. Malt varieties: Pale 2 Row, Carapils, Munich 10 liter. So let's
Carapils is in everything.
Yeah.
Fruit Loops.
We have to go in for another one. I don't know. Something weird happened with the Citra. Oh, it's the Simcoe. I forgot there was Simcoe in there. That's Simcoe.
Simcoe is old school. It's really tough to use too. With a lot of newer brewers that are coming up with these new styles. I wonder why they even give it a try. I mean, I know it's probably cheap to get, but I mean, it's a very 2003 hop to use in beers. I don't know. This is it's all right. This 9% is masked very well behind a wall of sweetness.
Yeah, I think that the sweetness is trying to hide some of that booziness. I'm not getting any of the booze in the nose. The nose is a little flat for me. I was kind of hoping for a little bit more of that hop spice out of the Amarillo. The Simcoe, I don't feel like it's playing well here with the Citra. I don't know what it is. This may need more time. This one's tough to gauge.
Yeah, I definitely get the Citra a little bit coming out of it. This one's a little rough to get a finger on here.
Yeah, I'm not getting the Fruit Loops that you did.
First thing I tasted, first sip, I was like, Fruit Loops, Apple Jacks, name your breakfast cereal here.
Yeah, the finish is, for me, that's where the Simcoe is really piling on. The The Falconer's Flight, I was really hoping to get a little bit more out of that one. I really like that Hop Friday. I'm not picking that one up. I was looking for a little more of the spice out of the Amarillo. I like that hoppy spiciness that it can sometimes give. I always think of Amarillo as maybe having a little bit. It plays well, in my opinion, with rye. So I kind of like expect some of the elements of a rye to kind of come through with that hop. I don't know. This one's tough. It's not bad. I'll tell you what, I was coming in with low expectations on this one. I haven't had anything from them before. So I just didn't have any expectations, really.
I've had a couple things, and I don't want to say, well, I'll say they could use some time to perfect their craft. How about that? There's a politically correct answer.
Yeah, bit of a pun too. I haven't been out to their facility. It looks amazing. It's a very beautiful location from all the pictures. They have big events there. They have music. They hold weddings. They have apparently a very nice restaurant. It's an old train yard that they totally refurbished. And putting a brewery in it probably makes a lot of sense from like part of what they're trying to draw in as far as an event space, a restaurant, the music. You put it all in there and it probably really works. Mifflinburg probably is really happy to have them there.
No doubt. And I haven't been there yet, but I hear the facility is great. But as we've talked about, is this a case, of, you're putting the cart before the horse and you've got all the money in the world to do something great, and the beer kind of falls a little bit by the wayside, which we've seen numerous times in our recent travels, I would say, where, people get a little bit ahead of themselves, and instead of, concentrating on the beer, which maybe that's not their goal, which is fine. If you don't want to do that, and you just want to make, serviceable beer and have a place where people are going to come, wedding receptions and be a catch-all, that's great. But if you're really into the beer, take a little bit of time, especially if you have all that money to do stuff. You could take a couple extra months and maybe, let things settle in a little bit. But
yeah, I won't pretend to know what their business strategy or their business plan, but I can tell you it certainly involves a lot of money. They have done it right as far as the way the facility looks and the way that they have restored it, and you don't do that without a lot of financing. So hey, good on them. Canning, man, everyone loves to throw it in the can these days. This is
speaking of puns.
And this is more of that. So I was kind of given the and shame on me, expectations. What should I be expecting? And when they said it was hazy golden color, when they put it in the pounder, when they give it this label, it just says to be Northeast style IPA or something like that. I immediately start pouring it out, and it's not hazy. Look, you guys told me it was gonna be hazy. The fact that it's in the can with the sticker and the double IPA 9.5, it's saying to me Northeast style IPA, and it is definitely not. I mean, you can see that it's not in the flavor, the texture, the style. It's not none of those things. Calling it hazy gold was setting an expectation that I couldn't have. But
I almost wonder if they threw hazy on there as a kind of like your juicy.
Yeah,
hey, it's hazy. To try and draw in, because that's what all the kids are doing these days.
I said it before. I mean it. It's clear as a bell. It's a little thin. I wish it had more body, and I'm not saying that it needed to have that soft mouthfeel of a Northeast IPA. It just needed to have something more. This is very thin,
especially for the ABV on it. It could use a little bit more of the grain build, whatever you want to throw in there to heft it up a little bit behind it. The same thing we kind of find with stouts nowadays. A lot of people are going weak on the stouts in the body and still high on the alcohol, and that's really, really strange. You should want to get that backbone up, that grain backbone, and throw some nice malts in there. This one's just a little thin. I think I could use a little bit more in the grain department, in my opinion.
No, I totally agree with that. And now that it's starting to warm up a little bit, all that booze is coming in. It's getting astringent, and the astringency is lasting throughout the finish. I don't mind it if it hits you at the back of the throat a little bit, or if it just reminds you, hey, you're having a big boozy beer. But this one's just hitting you, and then it's sticking around. It's almost antiseptic. It's not working for me. That might be a little harsh, but yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, I think it's serviceable. I don't think it's bad. I think that this is one that you drink, but you're not going to seek out. And I think they could go back to the drawing board a little bit and tweak some things. And there's a good beer in here. There's a really good beer in here. They just need to figure out the good combination of how to get it.
Yeah, I think I can agree with that. I think if you tone down the booziness a little bit and pump up the body, cut out a little bit of the sweetness, and then I think you will have constructed a better beer. Looking at Untapped, it has 535 ratings. It was added on 2/6/17. So
I didn't even realize it was that old, or not old, but
yeah,
I didn't realize they've been making it that long, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
This is at least the second run, I would assume, because this was just canned very recently. This was canned on 9/7/17. So this is about as fresh as you can get it. And with 535 ratings, the average, this is stunning to me, 3.95.
Really?
I'm blown away by that.
I would venture to guess now, and don't take my word for this, but that sounds like could be some homer picks in there.
Hey, I'm a homer as well. Here's how it's described on Untapped: a hop bomb with fruit and citrus notes and a pleasant bitter finish. Yeah, I'm not there. Not there. God. Pretty smooth for nearly 10%. Very tropical nose. Nice balance by Jared M. Yeah. I don't know.
I don't drink this beer and think nice balance.
No. Too many. You know what? The name might be actually kind of appropriate. Multi-gigantic. It's going in multiple directions. It's a giant beer, but it's not balanced.
Yeah, it could use some work. I don't think it's bad. I just don't think it's very good.
Budwash Tea called it nimble-esque.
Okay, that's bullshit. No.
Oh, that's so good. Oh my god. You know, this is why I say Untapped is the hoi polloi. You just get some amazing stuff on there.
I love that I just learned what hoi polloi meant like 6 months ago, and I've heard it out of your mouth 3,000 times.
Oh, I love it. It's one of my favorites. It's a great term. It's a great term. It's one of my favorites. I think it just fits so perfectly with Untapped.
I do kind of dig this label, though. I am.
It's a nice label.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's a slap-on label, but I dig the skyline there. I think it's pretty neat.
Yeah. Wow, they were found in 2013. They're older than I thought they were.
I think that's a stretch. I think those guys might have been brewing in their garage since 2013. Like, if I open a brewery 20 years from now, I'll be like, yeah, I've been brewing for 40 years. Because I made like 25 home brews in my life.
Yeah. You know, it's not a bad beer. I don't hate it. I don't love it either. I think there's a good beer to be had in here. They just need to find it. And look, it's part of their sidetrack series, so I assume they're willing to work on it. And this is something that they will work on. and I'd like to give it another try sometime in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's bad. It's just not good. And I know I said that before. It's just it's a beer. It's got a lot of sweetness, but man, the Simcoe hops on this really bring the bitterness on the back end. Holy smokes!
And I really like Simcoe, but it didn't play well with the Citra here. I think that's what it is.
You know what's funny about Simcoe is, I mean, that's one of the hops I was when in the early 2000s. My buddy got a firkin of Trogs Hopback from Trogs, and they dry hopped it with Simcoe hops, and we thought it was the greatest damn thing on earth. We're like, Simcoe hops, yes, and that was the craze back then.
Yeah,
you know, it was like, oh, you can't find Simcoe, blah blah blah. Nowadays, you use it, and it's you're making a fossil almost, because people, you know, they've moved on to whatever else. But I do like throwing back to the classics with that. You just got to know what goes with it, and I think that this combination might be a little off.
Yeah, and I've had beers where it was Simcoe and Citra. Maybe it's not the Citra it's not playing well with. My palate's not that refined that I can kind of decipher where this has actually gone wrong in the hop bill. That being said, it didn't work, and I think it's the Simcoe that's fighting with one of the others.
Well, here's what I find interesting is every other sip I take, one I get real bitter, and I'm like, oh, there's Simcoe hops. And the one I just took while you were talking there, I was like, oh, I taste Citra. Like, it just goes back and forth very strangely between flavors. And that's an odd sign.
Yeah. The booze is, it's not, it's slightly off-putting. It is warming. I mean, this beer has got it. Hey, you have two of these. Good night.
Yeah, you're done.
I'm glad I only have one. All right. Hey, before we finish off this beer, before we rate it, I want to take a moment to thank the listeners and followers we have that won the free tickets to the pub crawl in Philadelphia last week. I heard back from all three of our winners, and each one of them said they had a great time. They
all went?
They all went.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I heard back from them on Twitter. They all had a really great time. So that was very nice. The good news is that we have a second contest. It's actually from the same guys that put together the pub crawl in Philadelphia. This time they're doing it in Media, PA. And it's just now starting to come together. But the event is October 7th. So it's coming up real soon. We're going to put a link in the show notes. I'll put a link right now into the chat if you're following along. And we'll put a link in the show notes below here so you can check it out.
So for those who watch us regularly, just so you know, I'm rarely integrated into the administrative parts of these. So that was a surprise to me to find out that 3 people won and 3 people went, which is exciting for me. Who won? Any regulars? We know who went?
No regulars. They were listeners out of Philadelphia. I was really glad to hear from them.
Oh, great!
But they were all kind of new to me. There was Eric who said he had a great time, really enjoyed it. And then let me pull up the other winners we had. There was EJ and Stevie Joe. Both of them had a great time too. So
that's amazing. I love to hear that like a contest came through like that. That's great.
Yeah. And we're gonna run another contest with some more tickets. If you want to guarantee a chance to be able to go, you can buy tickets to the Great Media Craft Beer and Restaurant Stroll. It's gonna be the same setup. You get a mug, you get 3-ounce pours at each of the pubs. You walk around. You can also get discounts on food and other beers there. We will.
Is Iron Hill involved? Is that
Iron Hill is involved?
Oh, nice. Love Iron Hill.
So far, they have. Oh, let me give you a list here. I think I can see it. Iron Hill is involved. Sligo, Sterling Pig, Diego's Cantina, 320 Market Craft, and or 320 Market Cafe, and Quotations. Iron Hill's the one I know. Starts at noon, but you can start anytime after that. We just put a link in the show. We'll put a link in the show notes for it. And make sure you check us out on Twitter at Bearcat on Beer, at Ed Grohl, at Easy Pretzel, at IFS_tech support, and at IFS_podcast. We'll be throwing links around on there for how you can enter and win. So we'll be giving out some nice tickets for that again. That should be fun.
That's awesome. I like that starts at noon too for an old guy like me who likes to, who drinks when the sun is up.
Yeah.
Near and dear to my heart.
Yeah,
I'm going to start a fake Twitter account so maybe I can win.
You get 2 3-ounce pours at each. Jeff he's watching along. They got 6 bars, 2 3-ounce pours at each. Thanks for watching, awesome. Jeff. Hey, thanks for hooking us up with some tickets to throw around to our listeners.
Yeah, that's great.
All right, we ready to rate this one?
Ready as I'm ever gonna be.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna be rough with this one. You go first while I finish it.
All right. Not hazy, very clear, definite booze bomb. The hops in this are a tad confusing by flavor and by composition. I wouldn't say it tastes bad. It definitely does not. It just isn't great. I will give this a 6 out of 10.
Wow. You're so much higher than I am.
Well, I am the guy who gives everything a better grade than it should, but I don't think I can't give it a bad grade. I think it's fine. I just don't think it's awesome. I can't crap on it.
I'll tell you what. If you had given me this beer 7 years ago, I would have been a lot more excited about it.
That's actually a pretty good take on it.
Yeah. But the bar has greatly lifted in those 7 years, 10 years. 10 years ago, it would have been like, this is amazing. Even then, I think my taste buds would have said, this is a bit too sweet. But we're not grading this in 2007. We're grading this in 2017. And so I'm going to give this 4.
I will say this. My glass, I mean, it looks like I'm drinking at the Legion. No lacing, no real character to it. Yeah. It's just there, but I definitely give it a 6. I think it's okay.
Yeah. Hey, you have new glassware again this week. What do you got?
Okay. This is Independence Brewing Company from Philadelphia.
Wow.
Established 1994, and I think went defunct in, I'm guessing here, someone's going to correct me, I think like 1999, maybe 2000. I've actually drank at this brew pub. This is we had these beers in college, and I will always keep this glass near and dear to my heart. Their beer was Philadelphia breweries are like where it was at.
Yeah,
back in that day, and I miss them to death. And these guys in Dock Street, that's what we were drinking from Philadelphia. Well, Victory, but Downingtown. So yeah, but yeah, near and dear to my heart. I will always miss them, and I love this pint glass, and we'll always drink out of it.
That makes me think: had they been able to like hold on for maybe just a few more years, would they have been able to take the crest with the massive growth? Were they just too early?
I think before their time, but I also think that their style of beer might not have jived with the new wave coming through, maybe. But again, Philadelphia had, on the East Coast at least, had a lot of these breweries that were around and then got caught up in the undertow and washed out to sea a little bit. Whether it was they were in this kitschy spot in Philadelphia and the neighborhood got too good for their rent capacity or whatever. I don't know their story. I should probably look these things up before I drink out of the glasses on this, but no, I remember drinking these guys fondly, and I love this glass. And when I saw it in the rotation, I was like, sweet.
My recollection of that place was it was like Their beers were like John Harvard's, if you remember that. John Harvard's beers. Yes, it was something new. Yeah, they were styles of beers that you wouldn't necessarily see anywhere else. I mean, the first oatmeal stout I ever had was John Harvard's. I loved it. It was great, but was it a good oatmeal stout? No, probably not.
Yeah, I remember drinking Dock Street Illuminator and Dock Street, just all their stuff. And they actually went out of business for a while and then resurrected somehow. I don't know the whole story behind that, but they're right down in Center City again, kicking it apparently, from what I understand. But yeah, Independence, yeah, we'll miss them. This reminds me of looking through beer magazines and seeing an ad, because every page is an ad, and we were like, oh, we should go down there. We went down there and had a good time. We miss them.
Nice. All right. Got another beer here. Another fun one. I've had this one before. This is Voodoo 16 ounces to freedom. This is a malt liquor, Voodoo, out of Media, PA. And yeah, I said it's a malt liquor. It's a craft malt liquor. This one is light. This one is a little bit sweet. It is a malt liquor. It is boozy. And much like the last one, this one's 8.2%. This one is unfiltered. It's a little bit hazier than the other one. Might be just because how cold it is. Really light in color. It actually will retain a little head, unlike the multi-gigantic. But it's starting to disappear on me. I love the way this one smells. This one does smell like a nice breakfast cereal.
It does look a lot hazier than the last beer we drank. I'll give it that.
Big fan of this. It is just so fun. I kind of feel like this is like almost mocking craft beer. I don't know
because it says malt liquor. You can make a good malt liquor.
You can, but I mean, it's obvious it's made with corn and adjuncts, and it's weird, but it does feel like it's like mocking to a certain extent, and I mean that as I think as nicely as I can. It does feel like it's mocking the system, right? I mean, breweries who take themselves too seriously. Good example. Samuel Adams is never going to make a malt liquor.
Dogfish made one.
Dogfish doesn't take itself seriously at all.
I think I can see both sides of that coin.
Yeah. What did you crack open?
Don't mean to toot my own horn, but beep, beep. I've opened an Ale Giroux 2. Ooh. The award-winning homebrew.
Just got a little bit masturbatory in here.
Yeah. We're going to pour it out, see how this looks. I think it's pouring well. I hope this one is okay. When you bottle homebrew, it's a mixed bag.
Yeah.
So this is what the Ale Giroux looks like.
Friend of the show, Joel, telling me to pour some out for the homies.
There you go.
You got it, man. You got it.
Where's your paper? You should put that in a paper bag.
I should actually on the label. I can't. You can't really see it here on my crappy camera. Maybe you can. There's little corns, and then there are crushed cans, and then there's cans and paper bags. I don't know if you can see it. It's a nice label. There's the can in the paper bag right there. You see it in the light. Yeah. So definitely a shout out to Sublime, which is cool with me. Nice beer. You and I split an Ale Giroux earlier today. I really liked it. I think we had sampled it 2 weeks out, 4 weeks out. This is what, 7 or 8 weeks out now.
You got a 1 week, a 2 week. This is 3 weeks.
This is 3 weeks. God, I feel like much more.
The first one we had was really, really raw.
It really was, and the grain was coming through a little too strong, and it was unbalanced. It was weird in the front, and then it bottomed out in the middle, and the finish was kind of grainy. I think that you're either at peak or near peak with that. What all tell the folks at home? What'd you throw in that?
I had to. I pulled this up on my phone, luckily, before we actually talked about this, so I would know. American two-row, American Vienna, only 1.5 pounds of oats, which I want to go to 2 or 3 pounds, but my brewing partner sometimes is a little hesitant. Mosaic, Citra. We use Fermentus SO4 yeast, and we dry hop secondary with Citra. If I had my druthers, I would go higher on the oats, and I would definitely double down and definitely do the Citra in the I forget the damn name of it, but because we've been drinking that stupid beer, but I would definitely pull the Citra through and then dry hop it with that to give it a better back end on that. It's good. Sometimes it's weird when you're talking about your own thing. Like the judges at the homebrew competition loved it, and I was like, why? But everyone else is like, no, we really like it. And it's a clean drinking beer. There's no weird homebrew taste to this or anything. The water is great. The carbonation has been nailed, which we were very nervous about on this one. The color is nailed. I mean, I just would like to beef it up a hair, but I think it's really good. And we're going to run out of this real quick, and we have to brew another one in 3 or 4 weeks.
I think that you said exactly why you won. You didn't have anything wrong with it. I feel like homebrew is you're racing down from A, right, from an A grade level, right? They're just sitting there like, okay, picking apart. This is the problem. This is the problem. And you know what? There was nothing wrong with the beer. There was nothing wrong with it. Color was great. Body was great. The carbonation was great. The flavor was on. You got the flavors that you wanted, and there was nothing off about it. You didn't drink it and go, something's wrong here. And because of that, you win. Because really what you in my opinion, homebrew is, okay, let me suss out all the issues that exist in a beer and find where it went wrong. And it's you really can't do that. If you try to push it in those other areas, which I think you should, that's where you're going to start, I think, hitting some limits, and you might have some issues with it. But I totally agree. You definitely should try it next time with some more oats. I think that'll build the body up. And that Citra, why don't we want more? Why would we not want more? By the way, Joel says, can never have enough oats. Looks great. I also think that Joel would be the first person to tell you that you need at least 3 to 4 adjuncts in there, right, Joel?
Thank you, Joel. I appreciate it. But I also appreciate the looks great. It's definitely the color. This beer was given birth by my buddy, and I drank the Carton Boat beer, and we were like, this is a goddamn good beer. And we wanted to create something similar to that, but in our own, image or whatever. And that's where this came from. Yeah, definitely. I think the biggest thing that these guys miss, apparently, what I've learned in the past like 5 years, is your water. These guys try and ionize their water and do all this crazy shit, and we just use tap water from an unfiltered source, and the beer turns out fantastic. You don't have to do all this crazy shit. Just put your water in, boil it, and do your thing, and it'll come out fine, as long as you're not, in Love Canal or whatever. But I think some of these people try a little bit too hard, which makes me feel guilty because I showed up as a jerk off to this homebrew competition. Like, hey, look at me. I'm in a captain's hat. I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirt. And then they're like, where's Ed? And I was like, wait, I won? Like, who the fuck would vote for this? These guys have a cedar engraved jockey box and matching shirts, and I get to win with literal signs I taped to a fucking Walmart table. Are you kidding me?
And a Bud Light pitcher and no jockey box.
Yeah, and a pitcher I borrowed from a bar a block and a half away from the damn venue we were at.
You guys looked like you were pouring at some jerk off frat party. It's fantastic.
Literally, it looked like we may or may not have had crack on us. That's what that looked like.
No. You looked like you had cocaine. You looked like you had cocaine. You look like crackheads.
Yeah. So we gave it another run. I think it came out very close. I just want to beef this up and give it a little bit more oomph on the backbone to it, and do a little more Citra. And I think that we'll have a definite winner on our hands.
Yeah, you mentioned the water. I've been told from a number of people that the water in Harrisburg specifically, but also just generally here in central Pennsylvania, is very good for brewing. And one of the things that Trogs was most concerned about when they were moving from Harrisburg to Hershey was, how is the change in water going to affect it? And apparently they had to do a little bit, but very, very little in order to adjust it. And they said one of the great things about brewing here is that our water is great right off the tap. And I don't know what that means. I don't know how it's great, but however it is, and they're not the only. I've heard that from people at Trogs. I've heard it from people at other breweries. I've heard it from brewers that I trust. Our water is good for brewing. How so? I don't know. It's certainly better than the crap that Rolling Rock was using out of the Loyola Hannah to brew up there in Latrobe. But
and when Trogs first moved, their beers were off. And you could tell that there was a curve there between when they left Harrisburg and went to Hershey. And that was a huge, huge, huge concern. I remember John telling me that. He's like, we're a little concerned about, the water going out there. And I was like, and I mean, this is how many years ago? And I was like, this is going to make that big of a difference? He goes, yeah. And so they go out there and their beers immediately don't taste right off the bat for 3 to 4 months to 6 months until they could figure out the chemistry of it.
Yeah.
And that's an amazing thing. Now, I mean, when you're doing 5 gallons, you can figure your shit out. When you're doing a few thousand, hundreds of thousands of gallons, you got to make sure that shit's right.
Yeah. And I do remember that. I remember thinking things were off. I put, just checked it up to a new system, ramping up. You don't just go from like 15 barrels to 100 barrels and now we just 8x everything. No. Like things don't scale in a linear pattern in brewing. It's
that I think that's one of the biggest things, one of the biggest hurdles when I see all these people who are going from homebrew to, I've bought a brewery. There is no math equation that goes, I was brewing 5 gallons, so this times this equals this. It doesn't work that way at all. You need to tweak and figure that out, and it's going to take a lot of time. You can't just multiply by 10 and go, oh, there you go.
Joel, you're in the chat. Tell me if I'm wrong. This is not linear.
Tell me I'm wrong too, please.
Tell me I'm wrong. It's not linear. I've heard from everyone it's not linear. It's very complicated math if you can do it as math, and sometimes you just have to really just do it.
It's not even math. It's trial and error.
Yeah, really.
You need
there is some math, but yeah, it's trial and error.
Yeah, but math is only going to give you like a baseline, and you're going to have to tweak either way with certain variables within that number.
Yep. All right. Let's change gears a little bit here. So there's this new product, and we've seen it popping up on social media a little bit, and we were talking about it on the IFS Slack channel earlier today. If you haven't seen it, I'll drop a link for it in the show notes and in the chat here. It's called Phizzics. It's Phizzics. If you go to check it out, just open in a new window. Don't leave the podcast, please. And it's meant to be a beer improvement system. They're calling it a revolutionary draft beer system. So what you do is you take your beer and you put it into this machine and you drop a hose into it, and then you put it into this machine, and then you pull the tap handle and you get beer with a nice foamy head on it. It doesn't use CO2. It just, in my opinion, what it appears to be doing is it agitates the beer in some way in order to give it a head, more body. And they say this is so as to enjoy the beer as the brewer intended. Excuse me, I'm gonna choke on that. That's bullshit. The way the brewer intended is the way you got it in the can or in the bottle or off of their draft line. I haven't had any beer off the system. It may be fantastic, but this just seems like total bullshit to me. Ed, have you looked at this thing?
Yeah. And, well, I mean, I'm looking at the original right now. And apparently, so what you do, you just drop a hose into a can of beer or a growler or a crowler or whatever, and it dispenses it. I mean, that's the gist of it?
Yeah. Yeah. You can put it into something small,
literally,
ounce can.
I'm old enough to remember. Do you remember the baseball helmets with the cans and the straws on it? They perfected that. They've turned that into a fucking beer Keurig. That's all they've done.
Beer Keurig.
Yes. Beering. And by the way, this, I don't know if you can see it here. That looks like that looks like a German helmet on. That's Sergeant Schultz right there. That is what Schultzy. I know nothing.
I know nothing.
I learn nothing. This is the most superfluous beer thing I've ever seen.
This thing is
Shark Tank.
Yeah. Oh, and Shark Tank, they as tech support said, they wet their panties over it. I mean, they were just over the moon. They couldn't throw money at these guys fast enough. And
I like the carry case. Nobody's ever going to see this, but if you ever want to smuggle your dildo through an airport, there you go. The physics carrying case. Yes.
I've got multiple reasons why I think this thing's total bullshit. But one of them is, okay, I take a 12-ounce can, I put it into the machine, I put a hose into it. This hose, I'm going to have to take a sip out of the beer before I put the hose in, right? Because the beer can's full. Now I'm going to put the hose into it, which is going to either...
volume by displacement.
Yeah, right.
That is. Yes. 8th grade science. I love it.
Yes. So that you got to take a sip out before you put it in there. You put it in there, and you close this thing up. Then you pour your beer. I drink beer because it doesn't require any thought. I just open the can. I pour it in. Hell, it's the most basic thing. It's why I don't homebrew anymore. I just don't want it to be hard. I liked the homebrew back when I did it, but in the end, it just was a lot of work. I don't need this kind of crap to improve my beer. One, I don't believe it's improving my beer. Two, I firmly believe that this is not making it as the brewers intended, which is what they're saying, which is total crap.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Did you ever crack open a beer and go, you know what I wish was in this? A straw and a faucet.
Yeah.
Here we go. I need a bendy straw in this, and I'm just going to drink out of this. And no, that myth about drinking out of a straw is not true. But still, what you're just creating a giant plastic and aluminum middleman.
And I don't have to clean another thing. Like, this is a huge. You got to then clean it. No. And by the way, I don't drink the same beer back to back, hardly ever. So I do a lot. But I put one beer into this, and then I want to do another beer, and now that one's going to agitate it and pour it. And are they going to? And I'm not that fastidious about even pouring a beer into the same glass, but this thing's doing other stuff to it. This is why people look at hashtag craft beer on Twitter and go, why the hell are these people like this? Why? Who wants this crap? Who wants to put up with this? It's just terrible.
Will you not be buying the physics growler for $29.99?
I will not. I will not. You know,
I think we're killing a lot of sponsorship deals right now.
I don't care. I don't. Oh no, physics is never going to sponsor IFS. You know what, guys? You know what? I wouldn't take a sponsorship for them, because if I came on the show, it's like, you guys should buy this thing. I would expect someone to walk up to me at some craft beer place or some beer event and punch me in the face and be like, really, Bearcat, this is the shit you want to endorse? I don't need their money.
No,
Who
never.
gives a shit?
What did I tell you a couple of weeks ago? I said this is the intersection of too much money and not enough sense.
Yeah.
It's right there.
Such a stupid product.
Sucker bet.
Totally. Tech support, should I see if they will send us one? Yeah, yes. Send in this video.
But please, they're like, these guys will endorse the shit out of you.
Yeah.
I would love to have that every time that we have a beer on this and just hate pour out of it and be like, why do I have to drink out of this fucking stupid, awful, not even Keurig. Keurig serves a purpose.
Joel brings up a good point. I'm surprised we haven't been sponsored by MeUndies yet. They sponsor every other podcast out there.
Tell you what, my balls have never been more comfortable than. I'm just kidding.
Hey, Mitch Albom he started a new podcast with what's his name from the New York Post, Lupica, right? The sports reporters, they're coming back. And I loved watching the sports reporters Sunday mornings. Loved watching Mitch Albom and Mike Lupica. You know why? Because I hate those guys. I can't stand them. And I would sit there and hate watch it. And I'd be like, these old, stupid white men with their terrible opinions. I would sit there and just
picture them sponsored by MeUndies.
Oh yeah, and then Mitch Albom's talking about his MeUndies on his podcast, and I just howled. It was the best. And then they come on and give us their stupid fucking opinions about sports. So
I love the last take. You know what I think? Oh God, Kaepernick would have taken him out of the country.
Lupica would have filmed that segment laying down on the ground, you know.
No, on a cross. That is
yeah.
You know what I think? As they nail him up. Oh God, get over yourself. We get it. New York's big. Shut the fuck up.
Oh yeah, God, those guys. And Mitch Albom,
good in 40 years. Shut up.
Mitch Albom, who I think is actually 3'2", and it has that weird haircut, so you can't tell that his ears are actually like this big. You ever notice that?
Oh yeah, he definitely is hiding. He grows that horrible old guy mullet to mask the fact that he has a pea-sized head and adult-sized ears. It's amazing.
And it's like you're on TV. People know what you look like. They can see you. Like what do you think you're hiding? So,
who is the real big Philly guy with the you'd be like, you know, I think, and he could barely get out of his chair. You're like, oh man.
He had Bob Ryan on there.
I love Bob Ryan. I think he's hilarious.
No.
I always thought he was.
He's better than his counterpart up there in Boston, Dan.
Shaughnessy. Oh, that fucking guy.
Oh God.
Speaking of another guy who's going to do, oh no, the morals of sports. Oh, get the fuck out of here.
God. This has turned into who are our least favorite sports reporters.
Yeah, no, I don't even want to delve into those. How's the Bucks Texans going right now, by the way?
Oh, they're Thursday night. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's what Thursday Night Football has become. Oh, I forgot they were on.
Yeah, God.
Bucks Texans.
There's a million people right now who are like, shit, I didn't set my lineup.
Not me. I was lucky enough to not have any Bengals or Texans on my team.
Yeah. I'm trying to see who is from. Stephen A. Smith is from Philadelphia. He was on there occasionally. Jamel Hill was on there. I didn't know that. We're not going to talk about that. Oh, Bill Conlon. Bill Conlon from
Bill Conlon. There you go. He was.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Screw that guy.
And he'd go up and be like, you know what I think? Mike Tyson needs to step down and like you're like, oh God,
is he dead? Oh yeah, he died. He died in 2014. Yeah. God, he was there for 46 years. God.
46.
Well, here's the thing. I don't
even plan to be on Earth for 46 years.
something happened with him where he had some very nasty stuff come out about him right at the time he's retiring. And I don't want to say what it was in here because
That
I don't want to.
No,
I don't want to slander.
Let's not even talk about that.
But recollection is some very nasty stuff was said about him shortly after he retired or after he died. Anyway,
I'd say my second pour of Ale Giroux too. Look at the head on that. Woohoo!
Yeah,
I think we're doing all right.
That's great. I'm sipping on this. I'm sipping on this 16 ounces of Freedom and enjoying it very nicely. Ooh. All right.
I think next time we, with or without Dave, we definitely needed those Droid Theory beers because they may run the gamut of freshness here if we don't.
We next live recording, it's going to have to be next week because, as you can see, my beer cellar is gone. Is
that a load-bearing Christmas tree? That's what I want to know.
It is. The unfinished basement's getting more and more empty. The house is getting more and more empty. I am moving soon. IFS podcast will be taking a break after September until mid-October while I move. When we come back, we're going to come back better than ever because I'm going to have a better location to record in my new home. But we need to drink those Adroit Theories before I move because I'm really excited for them. That should be our next live review. We're not going to rate these because we're not drinking the same beer, and I drank
I'm drinking my own beer. So
his own. Hey,
5 stars, 10 out of 10. Woo!
Yeah. I will say, I won't give it a score, but I really do like this 16 ounces of Freedom.
And what brew is that?
Voodoo.
Nice. Okay.
Meadville, PA. Meadville, Homestead, Erie. Great place. So, another fine beer by them. Great stuff. Also, one of the great beers they make is a pale ale called #H2P, Hail to Pit. It's a great beer. If you ever get a chance, definitely check that one out. They've got a lot of fantastic beers. None more famous or more beloved than Man Bear Pig, which if you have a bottle of Man Bear Pig and would like to open it, you should
send a self-addressed stamped envelope to IFS Podcast.
Yeah, that's what we'll close out on. Well, before we go to that, tomorrow and the rest of this weekend, I'm going to be at Liederkranz, especially tomorrow. Might make a second appearance over the weekend. The Liederkranz in Lancaster for their Oktoberfest. If you have never been and you are in and around the Lancaster area, you definitely want to go to Liederkranz. A bunch of really great, authentic Oktoberfest beers on tap, right from Germany. Great stuff. Their cased sausages and meats are out of this world. They make the absolute world's best potato pancakes. Great live music, playing all kinds of great German folk songs, German drinking songs. They have dancing. They have the big tent, tons of beer. It's a family-friendly event. Taking the wife and kids. I'm meeting with some friends with their kids. We're gonna have a great time. If you go to Liederkranz, if you're gonna be there, say hi. Tech support, no, I'm not going to be in Lederhosen, but I will be in my Germany away jersey. If you're out, if you go, say hello. I'd love to have a beer with you. Great beers. The Lancaster Liederkranz bring cash only event. It's really great though. All right, with that, Ed, anything else for good of the order?
I just have one thing to say that I'm hoping Bill and Dave have real life stepping in. I'm hoping that I can fill in some content in between our live and show podcasts, and then we can bridge the gap. I have a couple things that I think I might be able to pull off. If not, don't yell at me. Just shit on me in my DMs on Twitter. But I'm hoping we can do that. But thanks everyone. It's great. I love doing these live ones. I really do. It's fun. It's relaxing. And I feel like I'm just sitting around having beers with everybody. And I hope everyone has a great weekend.
Hey, I'll second that. We will be doing something next week. We'll be either doing a live review or we'll be doing a podcast. It has been a long time since we did a standard podcast. And for those of you that generally listen to that, I'm sorry. We just been trying to get some things in line. Life gets in the way. And also we want the podcast to be really special and good. And these are more fun and laid back. I hope you see the difference in them. But podcast or a live review next week, hopefully a podcast, in which case you'll get anywhere from an hour to 2 hours worth of content into your podcast app at some point. Until then, at Ed Grohl, at Bearcat on Beer, at Easy Pretzel, at Tech Support, at IFS_tech support, and at IFS_podcast. You can also catch all of our content here on YouTube. You're already there. Please subscribe. If you like it, leave us a review. We like that. Also, follow along because we're going to have contest information coming up, and we're going to have more information on the podcast contest on FridaySomewhere.com. FridaySomewhere.com. Until next time. Cheers.
Thank you for listening.
I'm going to hit stop.